All right, it didn't come as a surprise. Senator Bernie Sanders won the primary in New Hampshire, but it was a much closer race than expected.
Yeah, Oakland University professor of political science and director of OU's Center of Civic Engagement, Dave Dulio, is here with us. It's always nice to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Get a little insight from you. Yesterday, former Vice President Joe Biden, in the middle of the day, left.
Yeah.
I'm headed to South Carolina, and it kind of can see why now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yesterday was, for me, as much as it was about who won and how close the race was between Sanders and Buttigieg for first and second. It was about who lost and how bad they lost.
Right.
Joe Biden comes in under 10%. It continues his cratering in this Democratic primary race. Also, Elizabeth Warren just edges him out for fourth place. So you really had a separation between the top three and the others.
Mayor Pete, as I like to call him, you know, that last name gets a little tough, right? Pete Buttigieg is really, I think, the one who's getting a lot of the attention right now. It seemed to send a shockwave after the Iowa caucus for him to come in first or second place. I know they're still trying to count, and there's some debate there. First or second place now for New Hampshire. Obviously, that seems to signal that is someone who's really trying to resonate with the Democrats.
Sure, and Mayor Pete has taken advantage in New Hampshire of his strong performance in Iowa.
Right.
Iowa impacted New Hampshire. New Hampshire will impact the next ones. So we go to Nevada next. And I would say that in Nevada, Mayor Pete doesn't have the advantages that he had in New Hampshire, maybe. Nevada's a caucus state. It's also a closed primary state where only Democrats can participate. In New Hampshire, Democrats and independents could vote in the primary.
Right.
In a place like Michigan, it's an open primary where anybody can participate in the Democratic primary. The next one, Nevada, only Democrats. We'll see if Mayor Pete, because he's been able to get some of the more moderate folks that have participated in the primaries. We'll see if that can continue. Bernie Sanders continues to look strong in Nevada. We don't have much good polling yet on that. At least it's what we have is dated. So we'll see what happens in the next few days. We'll get a better read on what that race looks like.
Let's talk about the money. Because you have somebody like Amy Klobuchar, who, here she goes, she surges up third place. Not a ton of money that we know of behind her campaign. And then you have Bloomberg, who's coming into these other areas that, I mean, you cannot get on your computer, you cannot turn on the television without seeing a Bloomberg spot. Is it working?
We'll see.
Yeah.
Again, we need some polling numbers to come out in states like Michigan. We need time to see how that resonates. Amy Klobuchar, she had an incredible finish yesterday. Almost 20% of the vote. That far exceeds her expectations for a place like New Hampshire. But this primary process is iterative in some ways. We're from one state to the next, at least until we get to Super Tuesday in about 3 weeks. So does Amy Klobuchar have the money? We know she doesn't have the same kind of infrastructure in terms of staff and offices in states like Nevada and South Carolina that the others do. Can she raise some money now where she can get up and running in those states in time to continue that momentum?
Very quickly, as they head into South Carolina, where the African-American vote goes more into play, we know former Vice President Joe Biden feels he will do very well there, but Mayor Pete has done very well on the debate stage talking about race. And what about Michael Bloomberg, who's spending a lot of money, but is also responsible for stop and frisk?
Right. I think the dynamics of this are ever-changing. Joe Biden, yes, has counted on African-American support throughout this whole thing. Whether he can keep it or not is another story. In some national polling, we've seen his support among African Americans cut almost in half. So that could be a real danger sign for Biden. If he doesn't do well in South Carolina, it's probably over for the former vice president. Mayor Pete has not been strong with African Americans in South Carolina. At one point, he was polling at 0% with African Americans. Can he get some traction in that community, as African Americans are going to be a big part of that turnout in South Carolina?
There's some good news here. It's a long year still ahead, and we're going to see a lot more of you.
That's true.
We appreciate the insight we always get from you.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Sure
Thank you. Quick break. We'll be right back.